So today I just want to share with you why I went from being vegan to vegetarian to being a meat eater. And this story, I really don't want to trigger anyone. This is just really based on my own personal experience and what I've found out along the way. So my story really starts back in 2010. I was diagnosed with a really rare type of kidney tumor and I had to get my kidney removed. It happened all of a sudden. I had lots of whispers that my body was speaking to me, but literally the tumor got found. I was in hospital 5 days later, the tumor came out, then I was off for a month. And it was a traumatic experience for me. When I was in hospital, I asked the surgeon what I could eat and drink. He said just eat and drink as normal. That answer in itself didn't satisfy me, and I went down this whole health path of asking questions. Why did I get sick? Why did I get this tumor? I was only 26 years old at the time. Why? And so I went down this path, and eventually it led me to a path of deciding to go and study nutritional medicine. But on that path, I actually discovered, got really into Gerson therapy, which is a type of cancer treatment, which is a vegan type of cancer treatment. Got really fascinated by it, and I really was coming from a place of fear. And I was really terrified of getting sick again. And so I hopped on this vegetarian vegan bandwagon of if you eat meat, you're going to die. And I was an asshole to everyone around me and got on this evangelical vegan train. And I'm really sorry to the people that I was like that to, because it was not a nice experience probably, and I probably was an asshole, and a lot of people still put up with me. I don't know how. So I got on this vegetarian train, but at the same time, I went vegetarian, then I went vegan. At the same time, I then started studying, and I'd also started to I came off the pill, and I was having crazy hormones, like really bad cystic adult acne, lots of real hormonal issues. I wasn't getting a regular cycle post the pill, which is quite normal, by the way. So I started college, and one of my lecturers said to me, start to experiment. See how different diets make you feel, because you're going to have clients that come to you and they're going to say, I'm vegan, or I'm paleo, or I'm, and you need to know what's involved in those types of diets, so you know what people are talking about and also how it makes you feel. Experiment. See how these things make you feel. And so that's what I decided to do. I was like, okay, all right, at the time had gone back to being vegetarian because I was having some eggs, but I was also having, a lot of things like gluten. Even though it was whole meal, I was still having gluten. I was still having some dairy. And I now know these are all the things that really affected me, particularly people with acne and hormonal imbalances. And so I started to get into GAPS, started to learn about the GAPS protocol, and I knew there was a big connection between the gut and the skin, and your gut and your hormones. And so I opened myself up. I went from being blinkers and going, this is the only way, otherwise I'm going to get cancer and I'm going to die, and not knowing how to look at things from a bird's eye view and assess the situation and go, okay, there's some evidence for it, there's some evidence against it, let's look at both sides of the argument and let's make an informed decision. I wasn't like that. I had my blinkers on when I was in vegan world. And so I took information and then I ran with it, and I was like, yes, this is gospel. And so going to college and actually studying, and being in an academic environment encouraged me to do that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to open myself up. And so I went to, I cut out gluten. I went to, what did I do? I went and tried a few different things. Cut out dairy. I went and tried paleo, experimented, cut out a lot of grains, because I actually realized, because I was then going into GAPS, the world of GAPS, which is the complete opposite of the world of Gerson therapy and the vegan world. I was like, how can this have such profound effects on people and healing people when I've been sort of told that the vegan thing is the only way and it's the only way forward, and you know, blah 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 blah. And so that opened me up, and so I looked at different possibilities, and I realized that there's lots of different ways and there's lots of different solutions, and not one diet fits everyone and works for everyone. And so cut out a lot of grains and did a lot of gut healing, and it's been a long process. Knew I had a lot of work to do, but my point is that not every diet works for everyone, and we are all individuals. And the way that nutrition and holistic health is now going is that things are very going a lot more down that individualized route. And so it's really important to acknowledge this. Within that, there is some real truths based on the evidence that's available at the moment, that certain things in the diet are going to cause issues. Things like gluten, things like dairy with a lot of people, not all people, things like sugar, and processed foods. But within that model, there's also the acknowledgement that what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for the next person. And so everything has to be tailored and tweaked. And part of the process is you experimenting and see what works for you and see how things make you feel. And I really feel strongly about this. The other thing that isn't acknowledged from a food point of view is there's also a big underlying emotional reason or emotional component of healing that also plays a part in what works for you, what food intolerance you should have, and all of that. And that's a whole different kettle of fish, but I just want to, plant the seed in there because that's also a really important part to be acknowledged. That's my story. So at the moment, I eat meat. I'm really fussy about the type of meat or the type of animal products that I eat. Things have changed for me over the years as I've done more gut healing and my body has changed and it's become more balanced. Things work for me now that didn't used to work for me. But I am fussy about where my food comes from, and I would much rather have less animal products less frequently and have really good quality animal products and have animal products all the time. I also think that most people eat way too much protein and way too much animal products, particularly in one serving. So this is my point. We're all individual. You need to experiment and see what's right for you. This is my own personal story and this is my journey, and I just really hope that me sharing this with you encourages you and inspires you to do the same. And if there's something that's not working for you, not to give up and to keep going and to listen to your body and look for different answers and do what's right for you.